All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. I saw somebody from Houston already, Dayton, Ohio, Ecuador, lots of really cool places. Y'all let us know in the chat where you're from. I'm Jessica Powell-Allbright. I'm a learning guide with the company friEd Technology, and we're a Google for EDU PD partner. And I'm joined today by my very good friend and coworker, Brooke. Say hi, Brooke. Brooke's going to be my co-pilot today. Being on a webinar is always such an interesting experience as a presenter, and not being able to see you guys face to face is definitely a little bit of a challenge for us as teachers. You know, we've got teacher hearts and we love to be in the room with all of our folks, but this is a really cool platform and we're so psyched to be here. So Brooke's going to help me stay on task, and she's going to help me feel like I'm really talking to a real person, since you guys are out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. Awesome. Well, listen, today we wanted to talk to you about how we have been using Pear Deck to amp up our PD engagement. And so if you're interested in following our company and finding out what we do and, you know, just learning about the things that we've been a part of, you can follow us on all social media platforms. We're at friEd Technology, because, you know, we believe everything is better friEd, even our technology. So friEd Technology, and you can find us online at friedtechnology.com as well. So as we get into the material, I just want to kind of give you guys some of these cool little links that we have here. You're going to get this slide deck today during the presentation. You also have the link on the screen. But if you follow us on social media, be sure that you also check out our online school. And I'm just going to show it real quick so you guys get an idea of what it is. Our online school is just something that I know you guys probably can't see that. Let me share my screen better so you guys can see it. So stop screen share, reshare screen. Look at this, I'm becoming a pro already. So let's see, we're gonna share that application, that tab, and look, we got this. So if you go to our online school, we have a free course right now called Spark Joy with Google Keep. It's a free online course that kind of gives you an idea of what we do and how we do it. And you get to learn something really cool in the meantime. So even though this is a Pear Deck session and we're going to talk about using Pear Deck with PD, we also just want you guys to learn all the things you can learn that are going to make your lives better. And of course, we believe, like Marie Kondo says, being great with Google Keep is going to spark joy in your heart. So definitely check that out. It's linked on our slide, which you're going to receive in just a moment. And you guys can go and join that if you're interested. So welcome again, Brooke. I am really getting good at sharing my screen here, but you're going to remind me, right, if I share it and I don't remember to choose the application window and keep me on task there?
Yes. I hope.
Thank you.
And y'all let us know if somebody said they couldn't hear me very well a minute ago, but I was afraid my microphone was going to cause some feedback. So hopefully that's not causing major feedback on your side.
Yeah. Okay.
She's going to share.
There we go. So you guys should be able to see that now. So again, we're friEd Technology. You can definitely check us out on all of the social media platforms and check out our online school, because we would love to have you guys learn with us. All right. Houston in the house, always happy. All right, so it's on the screen already. It's been kind of broadcast for you, but if you're interested in seeing our presentation materials, it's clickable stuff. So we're going to have some templates you guys can have. We're going to have just some little animated GIFs, or GIFs if you say it wrong, where you can kind of go and do a little bit of self-learning. It's a real simple presentation today, but we'd love for you to have it. So you can bookmark this. You can go to http:// got to put that in, fried.tech/pairfair, and it should all be lowercase. So if you type it in all lowercase like that, just as I have it on my screen, you should be able to pull up these slides on your screen as well. So I'd love for you guys to be able to go to that presentation, and that way you'll be able to click on things and get the copies of all the good things that I'm hoping that you're going to like today. So you can let me know in the chat if you guys any of you guys do PD. Do you do PD with your teachers in your campus? Do you do professional development at your school or in your district? Are you a consultant? Let us know in the chat what are the kind of things you guys do back at home. Will, I totally hear you. It's some people say GIF, some people say GIF. I just subscribe to the way of thinking that the way I say it's the right way. So it's a GIF in my world. Age-old debates, age-old debate. All right, y'all are going to let us know in the chat what the kind of things that you do. And I know it's a little bit of a delay, so I'm hoping that you are not too far behind, but y'all let us know. Okay, so Teresa says that they have staff at their district that does it. Okay. Math coaches, PD.
I also went in on that presentation real quick, just so y'all know, if y'all open it again, the music won't play automatically. So you can keep your tab
Thanks.
open.
Thanks for doing that, Brooke. You know things. Good. So you guys, some of you guys look like you are PD providers in terms of I'm a teacher that does PD with other people. So if that's you, then I hope you're going to learn a few things or a few strategies that work for us in this slide, in this presentation. So, Pear Deck is a great tool. You've probably, if you've attended other Pear Deck sessions during the last 2 days, you've probably learned a lot of great little strategies for using Pear Deck to its fullest extent. So I may not be teaching you anything, earth-shattering or groundbreaking in terms of what tools are available through Pear Deck, but how we use them, I think, is where the power comes from. So if you're interested, we are going to be talking about how to engage our participants, how to manage the pacing of our presentations, and one of the really, in my opinion, number 3 is my most favorite. I think it's the most important part of providing PD is getting that feedback from your participants that helps drive the direction of your PD. So we go into every session that we do, like this one, with an expectation of how it's going to go, but we don't always know if that's where it's going to go in reality, because sometimes we get into a session that's been planned within an nth degree, and at the end of the day, they weren't ready for what we planned, and so we had to really shift in the middle. And we don't always know that, especially in the virtual scenario, unless we're asking for feedback. So we use that feature quite a bit in the PDs that we provide. We also use Pear Deck to do a status check. So we always want to check in with our staff to see if they're following along, if they feel comfortable with what we're teaching them or what they're learning. And I'm using the chat right now kind of as a side note over here to kind of help keep me on track to make sure you guys feel comfortable with content. But if we were using Pear Deck, that would be a really simple and easy, straightforward way to get that feedback. And then finally, I use Pear Deck a lot, really, so I can give links out to my staff or participants. So in some districts, you guys may be using Canvas or Schoology or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams to, give content to your staff. You may have a class dedicated to providing materials, but when you're doing a live session, it's really a kind of a pain to have people stop looking at the screen, go to Classroom, get the link. So we'll talk about how we do that as well using Pear Deck. So we'll start with the first one, which is engaging them. So I look at it as hooking them in and really giving them something that they can, get engaged with that keeps them interested. So how many of you guys have been to a session before? Brooke, I know you've taught sessions before. We literally this week taught a session where some of our participants were on camera and they were just looking at their phones, talking to the staff in the room. And we get it. Everybody's getting ready to go back to school. Everybody's got a million things going on. So who knows what they were working on the other side of that camera. We just know they weren't engaged with the content that we had hoped they would be engaged with. So what we did is on the fly, we were able to send out an activity to ask them to do something. And so that kind of drew their attention back to our session and really, I wouldn't say forced, but pressured them into participating. So here's an example. Go ahead, Brooke.
It's just like when you're working with teachers and they seem like they're disengaged, or just with students, and you can say, I have a challenge for you. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do a challenge. And it's like, are you sure? What if I double dog dare you?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm in. And it's like, I haven't even told you what it is yet. But there's just something about giving that hook, that engagement piece, even if it's playing a game or just giving something personal that they feel they can connect with, you're going to bring them in a lot faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Gamifying things works for kids really well, but it also works for adults. People love to compete. So using something like the drawable slide, which is what I'm going to show you here. So in this presentation, anytime there's an animated GIF like this one, like it has a little click symbol, you can click on it and there should be something there. So here we go. If you look at this, notice it's a template. See in the upper right-hand corner of this tab? Uh-oh, I think I need to share my tab differently. Goodness, I'm going to get this, I promise. I have like all the faith in myself that I'm going to figure out how to share my stuff correctly. Let's try one more time. This time I think I'm just going to share my application window. That might solve my problems. Look at that. Okay, so here we are. We were on the presentation. I think there's a little delay. We were on the presentation. If you click that little hook symbol, it should open up a new tab. And on that new tab, then you'll see our template. So this is an example of when I was in the middle of a session and trying to teach my participants something, and they were just not getting into it, whether they weren't interested or whether they were just too busy with other stuff. This was a time when I looked around my little Zoom meeting and was like, okay, let's do something together. So I quickly worked up a little slide deck, and you're going to see how simplistic it was. But if you want this slide deck for yourself, in the upper right hand corner, there's a blue button that says use template. You see that up there in the top, Brooke? Yeah, if you click that, you're going to be able to make a copy of this slide deck. And I'm telling you, it's nothing major, but you can definitely look through it first before you make a copy if you want. So here's what it looked like. And you guys, I put little tags in there to help you know where to change the content. But this is a session that I do called Designing for Interactivity with If-Then Forms. It's a concept that's a little hard for people to wrap their brains around anyway. So this actually worked twofold. It got people engaged with the activity that we completed, and it also helped them get prepped for what I was about to teach them with technology. And that's something I find super important. Take something that's like tactile or doable with your hands or your brain and make it apply to the concept we're about to learn with technology. It kind of makes it less intimidating for people. So you'll notice that the first prompt I asked them to do, it's a drawing slide. I say, in the space below, draw the following statement as a flow chart. So this is really funny because people don't always read. Teachers are just as bad as kids about that. And so they don't always read that for the top part. They see, do you like Brussels sprouts? Oh, is it going in and out for everyone else? I would hate for that to be a problem. So y'all let me know. So I asked my participants, do you like Brussels sprouts? Yes or no? I always get yeses and nos on this slide. But really what I wanted them to do was to draw the flow chart. So this is a really funny time for me to say, oh, look, Brooke, you didn't follow instructions. Uh-oh, Brooke. So when I'm working in a group that's my staff at my campus or my department, that works super well because they know I'm just kidding around. If I'm doing a public session like I'm doing with you guys right now, I may not call people out like that because it may make them feel uncomfortable. They don't know I'm just kidding, but it's a great way to really break the ice and to get people like, okay, wait, let me pay attention now because I don't want to get called on the next time, right? So I might give them this really quick slide and ask them to draw the flow chart.
She's going to call you out. Don't let her lie. She'll call you out.
Not mean. But then I say, okay, look, you did the first slide. Everybody, I show the responses on the screen so they all can see how everybody didn't do it correctly. I love that part. It's so funny to watch teachers squirm in their chairs. But I can go to another slide now, a same activity, but this time I'm asking them to expand on what we drew in the first slide. So for me as the presenter, what this does is get everybody focused on what we're learning. It gives them some context for what we're about to do. But in the meantime, it's been a low entry point, right? So easy for everybody just to draw, right? That's not a hard thing to do. So if you get a copy of these slides, this is some of the examples of some of the responses I got. I just took a screenshot and plugged them in over here so you could see them. So, you know, people take this from a different perspective. Some people really drew on the screen. Some people really used the typing feature. But I also am showcasing the tool for them so they know they can use this with their students too. So it's kind of like threefold at this point using this particular concept. And then I just wanted to show you quickly, just so you believe me when I say I got a whole bunch of wrong answers here. Like you can see the yeses and the nos. They obviously didn't read. So in this situation, when you're using Pear Deck and you're looking at, this is what you're seeing on the screen right now is the teacher perspective. It's the teacher dashboard. And so whenever I'm looking at this and I see that Brooke must not be paying attention because she just wrote yes, then I can hit that little star next to her name. If I was to zoom in on Brooke or on Dixie or on Laura and just click that star, it would show on the big screen for everybody. And it wouldn't show their names, of course. It would just show their slide that they didn't do correctly, but it'd be a great talking point. So I like to use that.
I told you you'd call people out. You just threw me under that bus. I was just sitting over here minding my own business.
Yeah, well, that's what you're here for, ma'am. So anyway, if you get this template, you certainly can use it. And of course, you can change these slides to meet your needs. I've left little tags in there to tell you that you can change the prompt. And also these last slides that show my examples, see that I said I wrote in there delete slide. So these are not anything that you would need to change. You could just delete the entire slide. But if you want that template, you certainly have it. It's really nothing earth-shattering. It just is helpful to have a starting point when you don't know how to get started. So there you go. All right. So we make sure when we're using Pear Deck to hook people in that we are addressing multimodality learning. I use the draw slide, the drawable slide. It's a premium, I believe it's premium service. So if you don't have the upgraded version, you're going to have to rely really on the text option. But even that's great to get people answering stuff and throwing out ideas. It's just a really good place to get everybody started. But also, guys, Brooke, you and I know this. We have Zoom fatigue. As a profession, educators right now are suffering from what I'm calling Zoom fatigue. We are tired of sitting in meetings. We are tired of looking at a camera. We are really tired of looking at our screens. And we've actually in our office bought these really attractive glasses that cut down the yellow or the blue on the screen. They're like yellowing glasses. They kind of remind me of those like glasses you wear at the shooting range, like back in the 80s. Like in Lethal Weapon, you know, they're like yellow glasses, but they work so well. But regardless, we have Zoom fatigue. And the problem with that is we need to have different things in our lives that keep us engaged because we're going to zone out. Also, when you do these activities, like I showed you before, that example with the drawable chart, the flow chart, I'm setting my intentions for the whole session. So I'm getting everybody kind of in the right mindset to continue forward with the content. And it's also a great opportunity to build trust with your participants, because they're going to be in a situation, teachers hate to not know things, and they really hate for everybody else to know they don't know things. I think that's, wouldn't you say, Brooke, typically across the board, that's pretty common?
Yeah, and I think this is also another opportunity to think about when you showcase from the very beginning when you're doing professional development that you're going to hold people accountable for paying attention, just like with your students, right? Teachers are always saying, if I make this ungraded, then my students are not going to do it. Well, we have to do the same thing with adults as well. If teachers have so many things on their plates that if they don't feel like that there's a purpose or there's accountability or that there is something at the end that's going to make this meaningful for them. So this is the first part of making sure you set your intentions. They know what they're going to get from this. They're going to know why they're here, and they're going to know that you're not wasting their time. And that's where you really begin to build that trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw in the chat, somebody asked about how to make these template slides. So don't worry, right this second, you don't need to know that, but I did include a resource for you so you can learn how to do it yourself, because it is really handy, right? So it'll be great if you're doing PD with your staff, or even if you're just working with your students. So Sarah, I saw your comment, and I just want to make sure you know I heard you, and you're going to have those resources that you need. So don't stress out about that right this second. All right. So another way that I use Pear Deck, that we use Pear Deck, is to keep the pace. So how many times have you been trying to give people your slides, right? I gave you guys my slides, and I bet you there are people in this room, in this group, who have zoomed through and are already on slide number 14, and we're still on slide number 8. That's a pretty typical way that people operate. They like to go forward at their own pace, and I like it too. But sometimes when I'm in a training setting or a meeting setting, I really need to control the pace of where people are working. We do something in our group a lot where we give people a code word to fill out the evaluation at the end, but they have to go through the whole training before they get the code word. Well, of course, if I gave my participants my slides and the code word was big and bold on slide number 13, they're going to see the code word right away, and then they're going to go fill out the evaluation form, turn off their camera, and not sit through and get the content that they're supposed to get. Whether it's required or not, they're not going to get the content. And so I need to have some sort of like something at my disposal to help me with that. So I really love using instructor mode in Pear Deck to do that. So instead of giving them a link to my slides, I give them the link to my Pear Deck. And I don't know if you guys know how to do that, but what I did is I linked, if you click the little light, the little traffic light right there, I took you to a quick movie. There's no sound, but you can see if I wanted to turn this into instructor mode, you can see here that when I'm in my slides, I can just start my Pear Deck lesson and click on instructor mode. Obviously, it opens up on my screen and gives me like the code and all that good stuff. I don't give them the code. Instead, I use that little button right there, give students a link. And so I give that link to my staff in our meeting. Instead of giving them a link to my slides, I give them the link to the instructor-led session. And let's say during the session, I need them to go and take care of some other things. Like maybe I want them to finish a few activities as a department or something. I can switch it between student and instructor mode right there with those 3 dots at the bottom. So it's a real easy setting for me, the teacher. So again, I just go into my slides. I click on Start Lesson in my Pear Deck toolbar. I choose Instructor Paced Activity. And instead of giving them the code, let me let it launch here. Instead of giving them the code, I click on Give Students a Link down there in the bottom, right there. And that's the link I give my participants instead of giving them the link to my slides. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, and not only is that great, I'm just going to jump in here to say that Jess and I had been using Pear Deck for a while, and we do this all the time, guys. I mean, we're being honest with you. This is what we do all day, and we're in it, and we want to utilize all our tools. And we actually had set up a webinar with Pear Deck for some of the people that we were working with, and all of a sudden, that little copy link button appeared, and I swear I've looked at it 9 million times, but had never seen it. And it's so funny that there are so many times that we just don't see the buttons that are right in front of our face, just like our students. So now it's, it's just like setting your preferences in Google Forms. Like there's just little things sometimes that you're like, man, it's actually been here all this time. So we really hope that really shared some different benefits with you guys as well.
Yeah, and I see in the chat some of you guys are talking about giving the code, and you certainly can give the code. The code is just a different way of getting the information to your participants. So we like the link because we have learned in our experience doing webinars with teachers that they struggle sometimes flipping between opening a new tab and typing in joinpd.com and then putting in the code. That's a lot of steps for teachers sometimes. They're not always the most tech savvy people. Students may have an easier time, I don't know for sure, but just giving them the code directly to the Pear Deck has cut down on the wait time that we have to give in order to get everybody in the activity. So for us, it's just been a learning process. Now, of course, if you just want to put this up on the screen like it is for right now, joinpd.com, and give them the code, you could do that. Now, this session isn't live, so if you went to this PD session, you probably can't get in. So don't be a smarty and go in there. You're not going to get very far with it, but you could certainly do that. It's not wrong or right to do either of those things. We just absolutely were flabbergasted that we had not known that link was there all this time. I also wouldn't necessarily say this is better than using Google Classroom to give students the slides, but I like to have the control of it when I'm doing PD. And that's really what the focus of this session is today, is on PD. So if you're working with students and that's the lens you're using, keep doing what works for you. But for PD sessions, I do feel like this is better for me, the presenter, since I can't be in the room walking around, making sure people are where I want them to be, working on the content that I'd like them to work on. Just a little control. I didn't realize how much of a control freak I was until I couldn't control what people, or even talk to people about what they were doing. And now suddenly it's a real challenge for me. All right. So I think if you're interested, I put that video in there. It's just a link. The little traffic symbol, you can click on it and it just shows you how I switch between teacher mode or instructor mode and student mode. But again, we use that all the time so we can embed a slide. Like for instance, it has their password, and that's how they're going to get credit for attending the session. They have to have the password to get through the evaluation. All right. So I think you guys seem to be good in the chat. I don't see any major questions. Brooke, you got something? Okay, cool. All right. So a third way that I use Pear Deck, it's kind of self-explanatory. We've talked about quite a few other things today, but I also really like to use the Pear Deck, the text answers, to get people the opportunity to, how do we say that? Complain or gripe. And there's a reason that I use those words. I was a teacher. I spent most of my career as a teacher. And sometimes we just need to vent to each other about the things that are bothering us about the system that we're stuck working in. Sometimes we're just like, I wish that I didn't have to do car duty every day for the first 3 weeks of school. Although, guys, fun fact about me, I love car rider duty. It's my favorite thing I've ever done in my whole life as a teacher, ever. So I might be the anomaly, but I loved it. But that's okay. Beside the point, sometimes people want to complain about that stuff in a group of people that understand and are empathetic to how they, for how they feel about the topic, right? So
many people are just about to post in the chat exactly where you can come do car rider duty for the rest of the entire school year. Somebody is going to offer you their spot. Notice you didn't say lunch duty.
Not lunch duty. I need my lunch time for myself. But I do like to provide my staff, at least when we're learning new content. Like I do technology professional development, and sometimes what I teach people, they don't feel is a priority for them, or it's yet another thing that they've had to learn this year. And I want to be like sensitive to that. I don't want them to feel like I'm in there saying, you must learn this stuff because it's the most important thing. It may not be the most important thing to them. So I want to give them the opportunity to tell me, look, this would be great except for X, Y, and Z. But here's the real kicker here. I want to give teachers the opportunity to give me that critical feedback, and I want them to feel safe to do it, but I'm not going to spend an hour with that. I cannot, because I have objectives as their professional development provider. So what I use is that timer. So if you click on that little finger that's pointing at things, this is some of the slides that I might use with my staff to get them started talking about the things that are bothering them. So for instance, when we were just working with a school district who is going with a new learning management system, they just switched their learning management system like this week. They start school in a month. And if that's the problem, they're freaking out about stuff, and they need to tell me about it because they can't concentrate on what I'm trying to teach them until they've told me about it. So let's take the time to do it. And when I'm using Pear Deck, I will definitely use that timer feature where I go in and I set the timer. And if you've never done that, I can show you on the screen how I do it. Here we go. Let me change this real quick.
And Jess, I would compare this the same as in my classroom, like on after winter break, or, when the kids come back in, we always have like a 5-minute assignment of tell me one thing that you did exciting over break. And I don't care if you're elementary, middle school, or high school, we all spend that time debriefing with our students a lot of times, or even want to talk to them about things that are maybe going on. And as adults, we need that same exact feelings and emotional time that's needed, that social emotional learning.
Absolutely. So if I was going to give this to them during the lesson, with Pear Deck, I would go through to Pear Deck and start it. I'm just going to open it up real quick. And I'm going to start the lesson. And I'll do this particular one in instructor paste. And y'all please don't join this. It's going to load up the whole thing if you do, because it's just going to be like, ooh, let me close that. Please don't join this one. I just want to show you what it looks like to show the responses and set the timer. So if I start my Pear Deck, if I click on show responses and I hover over that responses button, the lock screen button, I can click one of these timers. So it lets my students or lets my participants know that you've only got 30 seconds to spill your guts here. Do a brain dump. Let me know all the things that you need to let me know that are making your life miserable right now, whether it's technology related or otherwise. It's all got validity to it, but we're only spending 30 seconds on this one. So type as fast as you can, right? So for me and my purposes that I do with my participants, I would only do something like this and then use the timer. So that's a real important strategy. So let me show you again one more time how I did it. So I would I would show my slide in Pear Deck mode, instructor-led mode, and then I would click on lock screens and hold down that lock for a second, and I will see these options, and I can give them 30 seconds, a minute, or 3 minutes to fill out that slide. And after 30 seconds, that little timer is going to tell them, after 30 seconds, your screen is locked, you can't keep typing. So for me, as a PD provider, that's a really handy little option. And I think it's great. It's a great way to get the feedback from your participants. So again, if you click that link right there, you're going to see the templates of these different slides that you could use, similar to what I would use in my presentations. Like this one's real simple. I just typed a sentence on a slide. What traditional engagement activity are you most worried about replacing during virtual teaching? That one causes people a ton of stress. They get really upset over it, and then they really can't focus on anything else because they want to know how they're going to replace this thing they love to do every year with their kids in a virtual way, and it's hard for them to focus. I also like to give them one like this, and you can, if you make a template, use this template, you can just delete the text here and make your own text, but I have them draw their face. Tell me what's going on in your head. Tell me how you're feeling. Show me on the screen what you look like right now as you're thinking through all the things we're trying to learn. Just a quick one. Now, of course, some people like to make jokes, and that just tells me that that's the way they process, right? They just put buck teeth and crazy hair and whatever it is that makes them feel like it's silly. Another one here, these are just notice that the first two slides here are drawing slides. Notice at the bottom it says students can draw on the bottom of the slide. But notice this one is a text slide, so students write their response. So my participants would write their response. Same thing on slide 5, another one where they're just writing. So if there's something you could change about this, what would it be? So guys, you can have this template of slides. Like I said, they're not rocket science or anything super duper special, but they've got cute little icons on them, and you can definitely take them and use them. So just make sure you click use template in the top right corner to get a copy of those slides.
It sounds like the timer was new for some people, and I'm so excited that you guys were able to see that and locate that during that part of the presentation.
Great. Yeah, that timer hid for me for a long time. I had no idea it was there, and I always wished that there was something like that because I thought, man, I want to give them the time they need, but I really can't spend all day on this. And now that that's there, I don't even have to have that conversation. I don't have to say, okay, guys, 10 more seconds. Instead, I just turn the timer on and it freezes them at the end, and I don't have to have any conversations that make me feel bad.
Well, and also what I think took away from us is also that awkward wait time. It's awkward wait time when you're live face to face with people, but you can look down and do something. But when you are on the other side of the screen and you give wait time and you can't see people's faces and you don't see your students or you don't see your teachers, and it is a whole new feeling of awkward to be the only person on this side of the screen not being able to see what they're doing. So that little timer in virtual land makes you feel like, you know what, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then the timer's going to go off and then we're going to move on. I don't have to be like, and 10 and 9 and 8. And really they're like, please stop talking so that we can do what you asked us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen a few people in the chat asking about where these slides are. We'll put, you see it on the bottom of the screen right now. It says http://fried.tech/pairfair. If you go to that web address, you're going to be able to click on all of these little icons as I've been clicking and get to the slides that I've been getting to. So they're all embedded on this presentation. So again, we talked about using the timer with the freeze mode. We talked about using text questions and drawing questions. And I saw somebody in the chat noticed in the drawing format, you also can have them use the text box. The drawing feature is an upgraded feature. So if you don't have access to the upgraded feature, still you can do these things. Just make sure you're using that, write your response, the text response. I talked about how when I'm looking at my teacher's responses, I might star a response. So when I'm in a presentation and I am and when I'm in, let me just delete that real quick. I can't think and type at the same time. When I'm in a presentation and I'm in Pear Deck, one of the things I can do when I launch it is when I get the responses back, I can look at my teacher deck, my teacher like dashboard, and it shows me everybody's responses. I'll be able to just put the star next to their responses that I think are notable. And then when I click on show responses, the ones that are starred will be the ones that show up on the big screen. Right. So it's a really easy way to kind of showcase that content that teachers are giving me back so we can talk about it. If there's a bunch of people who are talking about the same thing, then we can really have a conversation that maybe directs the rest of the training. So we just worked with a group of administrators from a school district. Every administrator in the whole district came through our training, and we asked them some questions. And what we really noticed were administrators were real hesitant to be honest with us because they felt like they might be misrepresenting their district or they might make their campus look bad. And the reality is everybody's got something, right? Everybody's got something that they're unhappy about or that could be improved upon. And so by having the anonymous showing the anonymous responses really emboldened them to be like open with us. By the time they realized, hey, this is anonymous, they were giving us such different answers than the first couple of slides when they thought maybe their names could be attached. So having that anonymous response is really important when you're doing professional development. All right. And you know what? Thank you, Pear Deck, for putting all these resources. As we've been talking about these things, the Pear Deck team has been putting resources in the chat to help you guys learn more about the different features. So we don't really have to dive into that. I think that's such a great little strategy. So thanks for that. All right. The fourth thing I use Pear Deck for is to check the pulse. So right now we've been using the chat to talk to you guys and kind of check where you are and answer any questions. That's something that we've really had to perfect. That strategy doesn't come easy. We have done probably, Brooke, since spring break, we've probably done 400 or 500 webinars each. Yeah, we have been webinared our lives away. So we're able to kind of keep up with the chat and not feel overwhelmed as much. But I don't always have that. And especially if you're not used to that, having that chat feature may not be available. So what can you do in the middle of your presentation, in the middle of your session? How can you stop what you're doing and get feedback? Using the Pear Deck slides that I've provided here, you could insert them into your slide deck and you could say, hey, all right, let's do a little status check. How you feeling about this on a scale of laughing cat to crying guy face? How you feeling about using these strategies? So this is just a regular Google slide with some pictures on it. And we use the drag icon, the draggable slides. If you want these slides, don't forget that template icon's in the top right corner. You can use the template anytime and make your own copy of them. All of these pictures came from the web and they were all free to use. I love these. These are my favorites, using animated GIFs.
Wait, we all just need to know, is the laughing cat, is it just straight, just hysterical laughter, like I'm just so stressed it's just funny? Or is it just like, no, this is the greatest day ever? It's up for interpretation?
I think it is. I think that's a really funny point to make during the training. I guess
sometimes you just laugh instead of just crying. You're just gonna laugh about it.
Absolutely. It's all fine. It's the world's burning around me and I'm good. Well, look, this one's a little clearer and my husband helped me design this one. I let him pick the GIFs for this one. So now that you know how to make a clickable, how to make a password in your Google form, how are you feeling about it? Drag the star to tell me how you feel about it. Easy peasy. I can see real quickly where my staff or where my participants are and know that we've covered the content in a way that makes sense to them. So if you're not using a computer, if you're using a phone or an iPad, you may not be able to get these templates. That may be something you're not seeing. So if I were you, I would just write down that fried.tech/pairfair. And then when you have time to get on a computer later, type it into a web browser and you should be able to use the template button from there. Yeah, and you do have to be logged into your Google account as well, or a Google a Google account, whether it's a Gmail or a EDU account. All right. Again, another option, just another one. This time it's a drawable slide, and they can draw a circle around. Are we ready to move forward, or are we crying? And I think some of this time, just having the levity of these little funny pictures really changes people's perspective about what you're asking them to give back. So if you're allergic to cats, Reem, I'm so sorry. That sounds like the saddest day of my life if I found out I was allergic to my cats. I'm a cat mom.
Guys, we don't have enough time to talk about Jess and the cats.
Oh, I'm glad my husband lets me have them. All right. Okay, so we use these little checkers, and if you want them, you have them. These are yours. Just click use the template, and you can certainly insert those anywhere you want. All right, we're getting close to time, so I want to make sure we cover everything. If you want to learn more about doing the things I just showed you how to do, for instance, how to get those little animated GIFs, here's how you do it. I went to Jiffy. I got it. I saved it to my computer and I pulled it into a slide. Pretty simple, standard, activity. Most people know how to do that. Pull a picture onto a slide. A Google slide. Yes, thank you very much. And once I put it on that Google slide, this is the thing most people don't know. You can crop that square picture into a shape. Very easy to do using that little crop tool at the top. So this little animated GIF will help you to do that. If you want to replicate it later, you certainly can. And you know what? I hear so many of you guys saying that you can't access the template. So here's what I'm going to do. After this presentation is over, I'm going to go take all of those template links that I put in there and also put in a link that gives you a link to the copy slide. That'll make it easier for you. And even though it won't look as pretty as the template, you'll still be able to click it. So y'all give me like maybe 5 minutes after the session ends, and I'll go replace those links or add those copy links. So those of you who haven't been able to get to the templates will be able to get to them. Okay. So just give it a little time. Yeah, write it down. Absolutely. Take a picture, write it down. Okay, so I also used a website called Flat Icon. So if you've been looking at some of my templates with really cute little picture files, we get those from a website called Flat Icon. We actually pay for a license, but you can get it as also a free license. So there's all kinds of really pretty little icons. You can totally use those. They like you to credit the author or the creator if you have a free account. So they show you how to do that. It's really easy to do. So that's Flat Icon. I use those on these slides all the time. In fact, you notice these little fours. The top, the 4, the 3, the 2, those came from Flat Icon, and you can customize the colors on them. So you can make a match. I also use Tall Tweet. If you've never used Tall Tweet, it's just a way to take a slide deck and make it into an animated GIF. So this one right here is a slide deck. See this heart icon right here? This is actually a slide deck that has a picture of the heart, and then these little circles that keep bouncing up and down. Each one of those represents a slide in the slide deck. So Tall Tweet just lets you take a set of slides and it compresses them together. And that way it's kind of like one of those little flip books we used to use. Yeah.
Stop motion animation. Yeah. It's going to combine your movement from each of the slides into a GIF.
Yeah, so that's Tall Tweet, and you can definitely check them out on using this link when you get the slide deck. You can click right on it. So Jiffy, Flat Icon, and Tall Tweets are definitely tools I've used to make this presentation, and they make everything better. And then in this little animated GIF here on slide 13, it shows you how to crop a shape. Crop your picture into a shape. So this one, I just cropped the square picture into a round shape. So you can see right there, that's how I do it. All right. So I know that you guys really have great questions about how you do all these things, and I want you to learn how to do them. And I wish I could teach you those things today, but I just wanted to give you a little taste of it. If you follow us on social media or check us out on YouTube, we have a lot of these videos already there, and we'd love for you to come. That's free to you and free to us. We just put them out there for you to help you. And the fifth way I use Pear Deck, and this is something that's really handy. In Pear Deck, you can push a slide with a link embedded on it, like a Google form could be embedded on it. And that way I don't have to email them a link or say, hey, type this in, friEd.tech/pearfair. I could just put the link on the slide. And sometimes though, like these little templates I've been giving you guys, these little special templates right here, I can't give that to you through Pear Deck. Pear Deck doesn't support it because it's not the right privacy setting or the right security setting. So I can't always do the things I want to do and give all the links I want to give through Pear Deck, although it's so handy to be able to do it. But here's what I can do. I can make things in my presentation clickable. And then when my participants have Pear Deck pulled up, they can click on the objects that are linked to items. So here's, for example, see this little icon here with the little hat and the glasses? I use that particular icon because there's a tool that we love to use called Sir Links-A-Lot. And Sir Links-A-Lot is a Chrome extension that allows you to create these links, special links that make your slides into a template or that make your slides into a copyable link. So it's really handy. It's a real quick thing for me. I have to make some slides up, and then I use Sir Links-A-Lot to make the link that gives everybody the template. So it's super duper easy. So here we go. If you wanted to learn more about that, you could click that little icon. And you can't hear that because I didn't share my tab audio, but this is Brooke, my pal right here, who probably didn't even know I used this video. This is Brooke showing you how to use Sir Links-A-Lot. So if you want to learn how to use it, go watch that video. It's going to be super easy to do. Brooke, do you love that tool or what?
I love it so much. And a few weeks ago, I was showing some teachers and it wasn't in the Chrome store and I freaked out. But then I found the innovator who created it and he was like, oh, I just had to fix a few things. It'll be back. And now it's back. And I'm happy because it's one of my favorites. So.
Yes, it is. It's such a cool tool. So if you click this link right here, it's going to take you to the YouTube video showing you how to use Sir Links-A-Lot. And what I do with those links is, like you can see here on these slides, I just have pictures on these slides or words on these slides that I have clicked on them when I designed the slide deck, and I just made them link to something. You can do that with any words or images on your slides. And the link that I made them go to is a link that I made with Sir Links-A-Lot. So hopefully that isn't too much of a mind bender, but it's just a really easy strategy to make sure your people get the link to the thing that you need them to get using Pear Deck's embeddable link. Or if you can't use the embeddable link for whatever reason, because sometimes it doesn't allow the link to work. If you can't, then you can use the Sir Links-A-Lot.
Yeah, and you don't have to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know all those tricks and I learned them the hard way, but using Sir Links-A-Lot, I don't have to remember anything. And I have plenty to remember without thinking, like having to remember. So
yeah.
he's just my best friend. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, Jess.
Well, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. I forgive you. Sir Links-A-Lot's pretty amazing. All right. And I wanted to say, oh yeah, here's another quick little how-to with Sir Links-A-Lot. And it looks like my animated GIF is not loaded, but that's okay. It's just a how-to use Sir Links-A-Lot, and it'll show up eventually, I'm sure. But you install the extension first, then you share your Googly Doc or slides or whatever it is. Then you just use the Sir Links-A-Lot extension to get the link. You can make your link a copy link, which means when people click on it, it forces them to make a copy. You can make the link a template like you guys have been seeing where it gives them a preview first and then they can use the link button to make the template, use the template. Or if you really just want to give people a quick PDF of your doc, you can use a link that does that. When they click the link, it makes an immediate PDF. So check that video out on slide 15 and check the little animated GIF here on slide 16. Both of those will help you to understand how to use that tool. All right, and I told you there were only 5 ways I was using it, but listen, there was a 6th way kind of lurking in the background all this time, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick. When I'm using Pear Deck, I've started Pear Deck. I've been going through slides with my staff. We've been doing some interactivity here and there. They've been giving me feedback. They've been doing activities. At the end of it, I need to have some sort of something that says, hey, everybody who was supposed to participate participated, and here's how they participated. Sometimes it's because I'm giving them credit for the session. Sometimes it's because their principal wants to know, hey, did that person, I was a coach in school. I coached girls sports when I was an English teacher. And so let me say this with all the love in my heart for all you coaches out there, but maybe the coaches who came and, you know, they're a co-teacher or a PE teacher and they don't feel like this training was relevant to them and they aren't participating. Okay, well, the principal still wants to know that. So I have these takeaways that show that Coach Brooke over there did what she was supposed to do and she gets full credit for attending. But they might say that Coach Jess over here was messing around and she didn't do all the things she was supposed to do. Well, these takeaways are automatically generated. So when I am in Pear Deck and I launch an activity and I end my session, it says, and because I have the premium version, it says, do you want to send takeaways? I say yes. So it sends my takeaways to my users. They get a copy of their Google document that shows all the things they filled out on that in that activity. And then I also retain a copy of that in my Google Drive. So I have something I can go and take a look at and say, okay, Brooke did what she needed to do. She gets full credit. Jess didn't do what she needs to do. I'm only going to give her 1 hour of credit instead of 3. And then she needs to come to school after school on Friday and finish the PD in person. Right? So this bonus accountability that's built right into Pear Deck is so amazing. It's so handy when you're doing PD for staff. All right, guys, I have just been rambling on over here, and I know we're just about out of time. So I think we've been trying to keep up with questions in the chat so that you guys have access to the things you need. But these are some of the tools I use to build our presentation. I use Sirlinks a lot. I use Tall Tweets. I use Screencastify to record those animated GIFs. I use Flat Icon to get some of our little icons, like these little cute little tools right here. I even use Color Pick Eyedropper extension to make all of my little green numbers, all these little green numbers in the top right corner have the same color palette. So I was able to like pick up the colors and make sure I had the right colors. And I used an extension called Joy Pixels to get certain emojis like the crying cat face and the crying guy face, the hysterically crying cat face, right?
Yes, that's what I think. I think that cat was on having a break, a nervous
Yeah,
break.
it might have been. Norma, you asked if our students, the teacher gets a copy of the takeaways. If you're using the premium version of Pear Deck and you have takeaways available to you, then yes, the teacher also has a copy. Anytime I do that, I'm going to show you, I'm going to just pull up my Google Drive real quick. Anytime I've done an activity with staff, I have a folder called Pear Deck in my Google Drive, of course, but notice after I do like those if then Pear Deck activities, remember I told you I did those with staff just the other day, it gives me a copy of their docs that were sent to them. So I can see Michael's form here and it just shows you what one of these looks like. So anytime there was a response to be had on a slide deck, like for instance, here's one where he drew his little flow chart. Here was the original slide and here's what he drew. So this is what he gets a copy of and I get a copy of. So it's kind of nice. If I was given a grade to my students, this would be a great way to go back and get a grade. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man, I feel like we've just thrown out a whole bunch of info there, Brooke. How you guys feeling in the chat? It looks like you guys are having a positive response to this.
Yeah, and guys, we will go in and change some of those links and make them clickable and make them more easier for everyone to get. And so just please write down fried.tech/pearfair, all lowercase letters. Write that down, take a picture of it, screenshot it. Anything that happens, please do that so that you can get back to this. Hey, Courtney, welcome.
Courtney, hi.
We've seen some friends all of a sudden pop up in here. So yeah, write that down and we will go in and we will add some of the information and any other kind of links. And I have a few things that I screenshotted, some questions I couldn't type in the chat. So I have them ready for Jess and we will make sure we go in and add some slides to this and give you guys as many resources as we can. So write it down, come back and check on it at the end of the day, and we will do our best to give you everything that you need.
Hey, you know what? There is a question in the chat, and you Pearfair folks out there who are, I know, on this call in the background. The user asked, if I self-fund the premium, will pupils in my class benefit from the premium features, or do they also have to be upgraded? I actually don't know the answer to that question, and I'd love to hear if anybody out there knows the answer to that. They are.
They're going to pop in any second. It's going to happen. Only the teacher needs the upgrade. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. We appreciate it. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys so much. Please check us out on social media. We are on all platforms. You can find us at friEd Technology. Follow us. Check out our website. We have a mailing list. We do online courses. I showed you our online school, and we do all kinds of promos to make sure that those courses are affordable for teachers. That's always been our #1 goal when we develop online courses is, can a regular teacher on a regular teacher salary afford to pay for this for themselves if their school district won't provide it or can't provide it? And that's always our angle when we develop the courses that we develop. We have some new ones coming out pretty soon. We have all kinds of courses that are going to be helpful for you guys as you move forward with virtual teaching. So please follow us, check us out, join our mailing list, and we absolutely have loved working with you. So thanks so much. Thank you, Brooke.
I'd say, and thanks, Pear Deck. We love you guys so much, and we were so excited to get to chat with our Pear Deck friends today, too.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I've forgotten how to end our presentation, so I'm just going to do a little tap dancing in my chair, and I think I'm going to, there we go.